right. Give it a few more seconds as people come in here. All right. It looks like for the most part, folks have found their way into the webinar. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Will Robertson. I work in the Office of Parent Engagement here at Elon. And with our partners here with the Global Education Center, we're happy to present this webinar to you all this afternoon to learn about all of the awesome things going on in the Global Education Center, whether it be study abroad, that sort of thing. So we have quite a few members of their staff here with us. We're very thankful for that. They will be answering your questions, both live on video and in the chat below. You can use the Q&A in the bottom below if you have a specific question. They'll get to it as soon as possible that we can there. Would like to just make everybody aware we are recording this and we'll be posting it to our parent engagement website, which is elon.edu/parents. So if you want to share it with somebody else, or if you need to leave early or something like that, and need to see the recording, it will be available on our website. So like I said, please feel free to use the Q&A at the bottom to ask any questions you might have. And with that, I will turn it over to Mark Kurt from the GEC. So thank you all for being here.
Thanks, Will. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with my colleagues in the Global Education Center to be talking to you about options for study away. Ashley, would you go to the next slide, please? Okay, today we're going to be talking about semester and summer programs. We have a separate webinar for our faculty-led short-term programs, which is mostly winter term, but we're going to be focusing on semester and study away programs. Next slide, please. All right, so who's on the call today? Well, again, my name is Mark Kurt. I'm the Assistant Dean of Global Education here and a Professor of Economics. And I'm going to invite my colleagues to share as well, and also share their name and their title, but also what excites them about the opportunity for global engagement. And I'll start off by just saying something that excites me about it is the power of the transformation that can happen through these experiences. So it's elevating the learning that they're doing here. It's developing personally and professionally, and it's really getting to witness that progress that we see through the students and through our interactions and programs, and when they come back to campus to bring back and continue that learning here. So that's something that really excites me, and I'd like to invite my colleague Allegra to introduce herself.
Thank you, Mark. My name is Allegra Lang. I'm the Executive Director for Global Programming here in the Global Education Center, and I oversee all of our outbound study abroad programs, which includes our semester programs, summer programs, and short-term programs. I had the opportunity to study abroad as an undergraduate at Spelman College. I did a faculty-led program to Martinique for 1 month, and I spent my entire junior year in Strasbourg, France, and it has fundamentally changed my life. It has changed how I viewed myself as a person, as a global citizen. And I love working global engagement because I get to see that transformation, again, like Mark said, with the students from beginning to find the program until they return. It is quite incredible to see. And that's what motivates me to stay in this field. I'd now like to pass it on to my colleague, Ashley.
Yeah, thanks, Allegra. Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Lynch. I'm the business manager here at the GEC. So I handle our insurance, our health and safety, risk management, billing, etc. as far as on the operations side. I'm excited because much like Allegra, I had a study abroad experience during the summer when I was in undergrad at UNC Greensboro, and I went to Madrid, Spain, and like Allegra said, it was an eye-opening experience for me and changed a lot of things throughout, moving forward into my career. So I'm excited that I can be a part of that for our students here at the GEC. So two other folks that we have here with us, they're in the chat. They're gonna chat out some introductions. Maria, Assistant Director of Semester and Exchange Programs. You can find her in the chat, as well as Megan Hernandez Green. She's a program coordinator too. So they're going to help support us in the chat. And I'll give it back over to you, Mark.
Thanks, Ashley. And I invite everyone on the webinar too in the chat to share what is exciting for you about Study Abroad, Study USA, what you're excited for your students as they explore programs, and what you hope, some goals that you might have for them. All right, so next is going over some objectives. So what are we gonna all talk about today? Well, we're gonna talk about options and present some of those for Study Abroad for semester and summer, and also Study USA at several of our locations. We're going to talk about the different types of study away experiences you can have. We're also going to provide guidance on what to expect through the search process, the selection process, the pre-departure, what resources students have, what the experience is like there. We'll get into finances. So we're going to cover a lot of aspects. We're probably not going to talk a lot about specific programs, but we'll talk about the process and how you and your student can engage meaningfully in this process. What we're not going to be able to do is maybe answer some very specific questions. So if your student is currently planning to go in the spring and has a question about linens or things like that, we're probably not going to be able to get to those questions, but we can invite those questions to come directly to us, and we can respond with the program manager who manages those programs. And also for the winter term, for the faculty-led short-term programs, there's a separate webinar for that all on its own. So we've got a lot of programs, and it's just too much to pack into one webinar. All right, next slide, please. Okay, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Allegra Lang.
Thank you, Mark. Next slide. So I want to provide us with a bit of an overview to explain why students may choose to do a global engagement, and to start us talking about what types of program types are offered. We are really proud to offer on the Study Abroad side over 120 distinct programs in over 50 different countries. Elon Study Abroad program has consistently been top ranked in the nation. And as you can see on the map, we send students to 6 out of the 7 continents. For Study USA, we have 4 dynamic programs located in Charlotte, Los Angeles, New York, and Washington, D.C. That are internship based and that are offered both for the semester and for the summer. Next slide, please. So why would a student be motivated to pursue a study away option? Why would someone want to leave Elon for a semester or for a summer? There are many reasons for that, but we've identified 3 main motivations that will see students to pursue either a study abroad or a Study USA experience. For Study Abroad, it's the opportunity to take on a challenge of living in a drastically different environment and to deepen one's academic study with comparative perspective. One of my favorite moments of my Study Abroad experience was studying Francophone Caribbean literature. Because I had studied Anglophone Caribbean literature prior to departure. So for me, it was getting this global expanse of what literature looked like. And also for Study Abroad, students are also motivated to have a profound encounter with difference. Our students are curious and they're explorers, and they really want to see what the world has to offer. For Study USA, many students are motivated to get a head start on life after Elon and to start building that professional network prior to their departure. It's a great opportunity to connect with other Elon alum in those cities, to strengthen their professional skills, and to really take advantage of what both of our 4 centers have to offer. Next slide. So why participate? And so fundamentally, we believe that global engagement has the power to cultivate students in ways that being on campus may not be able to achieve, and that these avenues, these skills, these characteristics that students develop really can have a powerful impact when they leave Elon for their career, for raising a family, but also for whatever life work that the students aim to achieve. These are some of the examples that we believe are outcomes from the global engagement experience. But I would welcome people to put in the chat, why do you think are the reasons that students should participate? If you did a global engagement, were these things that you were able to achieve while you were away from campus? But while I wait for answers in the chat, I'll talk a little bit about some of these elements. Participating students will be able to critically evaluate one's own culture and biases. They'll be able to develop self-awareness and self-confidence through exposure to and reflection on difference. Students will be able to problem solve and function within an unfamiliar context. One of my favorite stories is a student that was studying abroad in Ecuador and learned how to take the bus because she had to read all the signs in Spanish. Students will be able to interact and communicate effectively with those from another culture or background using appropriate cultural and linguistic strategies. Students will have the opportunity to reflect on how understanding language is essential to understanding other cultures. Students will be able to understand the multiple dimensions of the human experience within and across cultures and environments, analyze the interconnectedness of global systems, and examines one's responsibilities as an active global citizen informed by multiple cultural perspectives. Next slide, please. We also believe that global engagement has the power to cultivate these types of skills within students. Again, there's plenty, but we've listed the 8 on this slide. I can speak for myself. Things that I have seen with students are greater independence, greater self-awareness, openness to different ideas and perspectives, and to be able to develop critical thinking skills. These are all things that I've seen students come back to the States, or come back to Elon rather, after pursuing a study abroad or a study away experience. Next slide, Ashley. So I want to begin talking about what types of study abroad programs that we offer at Elon. After I finish, my colleague Mark will start to talk about what kind of Study USA programs that we offer. One of the dynamic aspects of our office is that because we believe that every student should have opportunity to pursue a global engagement experience, we have a pretty multifaceted and diverse list of programs. They can vary by duration, by location, by academic focus, and also by program type. Because they're so diverse, we recognize that the list is quite long. So we do like to give students and families some parameters on how does one research a program and how does one navigate this process of finding the right program for them. A very common question in the office is, what is the best program for fill in the blank? And the answer is pretty nuanced. There really is no one best program. It's the best program that's going to fit the student. And a lot of that is anchored in the academic goals, the professional goals, and also the personal goals that students might have towards a global engagement experience. This is a process. We encourage students and families to start this process early. That way students can feel confident about the decision that they make in regards to which study away program that they choose. But to give you some insight in terms of the structure of the program, we have programs that can range on continuum from highly structured to more autonomous. I'm actually going to start on the right-hand side with our center programs abroad. We have 3 centers abroad. These are signature global engagement experiences for Elon students. Typically for these programs, they're in partnership with another organization overseas, but typically enjoy having an Elon faculty member that comes and frequently teaches a core capstone seminar as a part of the center program. This is a great opportunity for students that want to experience a global engagement experience with fellow Elon students to participate in. And it really is tailored to the needs of our Elon community. Probably on this spectrum, the most structured program. The next, I'm going to move to the second program, which we also call structured, but these are programs that are called either island programs or standalone programs. And these are programs that have been specifically designed for either US study abroad students or other international students. Typically, these programs wouldn't grant degrees because they're transient. So students come for a semester, for a summer, for an academic year if they're adventurous. They would stay there, study, and typically take classes usually offered by host nationals, other international faculty, or sometimes American faculty, depending on the type of program. The one thing to note for these programs is that typically the student population or the peers on this particular program more than likely would be other US students. A really good example of this would be our partner in Santa Ana in Sorrento, Italy, and our partner DIS that has programs both in Copenhagen and Stockholm. The third kind of program category or type are programs that we say kind of in the middle ground. And so a hybrid of a more structured program, and what we'll later talk about is an independent or direct enroll program. A good example of this is our partner with UNC Montpellier. For that program, students will go and study French with other US students. They'll take 2 to 3 classes with other US students, but they'll take 2 to 3 additional classes at the local institution, Paul Valéry in Montpellier, where they can take the classes either with French students or with other international students at Montpellier. So it truly is a hybrid. It offers students some niche opportunities with other US students, but also their opportunity to kind of stick their toe and be immersed in another institution for not their full course load, but part of their course load. Another example is CIEE in Ghana. CIEE is one of our partner institutions that actually facilitates a lot of our global engagement programs. For the program in Ghana, students will be supported by CIEE staff in Ghana, but then enroll at the University of Ghana and take classes alongside host national students. The fourth category we categorize as independent. This typically encompasses our exchange programs and our direct enroll programs. Exchanges are kind of the traditional model of global engagement, where students will go abroad to a partner institution, and in their place, we will receive an international student. Direct enroll is just we're sending students away and not necessarily having a student come back in that person's place. But for exchanges and direct enroll options, students in most cases are taking classes alongside host national students at degree granting institutions. This is a pretty deep method of immersion. The support staff for those students would be basically our equivalents for the Global Education Center, but abroad. So it'd be the international staff at the University of the Sunshine Coast in Australia, for example, or at Kansai Yugata University in Japan. For these experiences, they are a little bit more autonomous and would ask the student to be a little bit more independent. And so an example of this is we have a partner in France, Neoma Business School. Wonderful partner. Students can go and matriculate in English or in French if their French is strong enough. But for that program, for example, students are given a list of housing options and students select upon the housing options and then arrange their own housing. Again, they're wonderful experiences for students that are looking for a more dynamic and a more autonomous experience. Most of our programs fall within these 4 program categories with different levels of gradients. I'm now going to turn it over to Mark to talk a little bit more about Study USA programs.
Thank you, Allegra. All right, so Study USA, we've got several different locations and different models and programs that we offer. And really it's a bit of it's different than study abroad, not just in terms of the location, but in terms of how these programs are structured. So all of these programs are structured around stacked learning experiences that have 3 major components. The first component is academic coursework that propels them towards often their major and their liberal arts requirements as well. So they're going to get multiple courses, and often they're Elon transcripted courses. They're offered by Elon with Elon vetted faculty that we have at our locations. The second piece is we're going to have internships that all of these students are doing along with the coursework. So they're learning how to balance and navigate both having these courses and doing internships at the same time. And the third is they're going to have professional and personal support with that. So they're going to develop and grow. So there's programming that goes over on top to connect the students and work with them. So they're kind of aligning with their academic goals, their personal goals, and their professional goals all together through these semester and summer experiences. And so we develop programming that leverages it. So an example out in Elon in LA is we have different alumni affinity groups. So we have Women's Night in Entertainment, where we have alumni that are connected at Amazon Studios, at CBS, writing for shows, producers, and they get together and we have a networking event with the students, with the alumni, with professionals that are there that's hosted. And it's a way that students can access and leverage their network in an environment that's got some structure, so they're not reaching out on their own. So it's really an idea that helps them develop their network, also helps them figure out what they want to do when they go through it. So it's really multifaceted in its approach, and it can be an impact. It's a very impactful experience. One student recently described it as a 14-week workshop, where when they went to LA, their other kind of campus identity, other things kind of went away, and it was everybody working together in this cohort, working on coursework, in this case, cinema, television arts, directing, cinema writing, branded content, and their internship, and bringing those pieces together with kind of really opening up LA to them. And so that's a little bit of kind of what these are. They're really appeal typically to students who are thinking a little bit more, tangible about what the next step is or what they want, or they're still trying to figure that out and they want to explore that. And this gives us a great space where they're not quite a student and they're not quite a professional. And the spaces are intentionally designed to really reinforce this liminal space that we have. Ashley, next slide, please. Where we host our Study USA semester and summer programs are at what we call regional centers. And these are centers that have undergraduate programs, but they also support alumni programs, community partnerships, faculty to do research, and professional development for alumni that are there, and others that are interested in being a part of the Elon in these different locations. So it's a presence of Elon in this location. And so this has synergistic effects for the students because they have access to the alumni. The alumni are more engaged because there's student events going on, and there's a community that's there, that's an Elon community. So we've got several of these centers, but to give you an idea, I'm going to highlight our newest center. Next slide, please. Charlotte, you may have seen some notifications on this, but September 19th, we had our official announcement of Elon in Charlotte, our newest location. It's on the south end of Charlotte. If you've been there, it's a beautiful area that's there, and it really is a great space. It's lots of innovation is happening, lots of building, lots of economic development, and it's really a great space for our students to explore building these professional networks, exploring this internship, going further in their courses. And right now, one program we have is the Sport Experience. So today is move out day for our Charlotte program this fall. And our cohort, our inaugural cohort of 12 students has just finished up. They've been taking 3 sports management related or business related courses and a core capstone. So a bit of in their major or minor, and rounding out their liberal arts experience with our core capstone, which is an interdisciplinary course designed to bring together multiple threads and multiple disciplinary lenses to really have the students integrate their own liberal arts experience and creating kind of an authentic document that goes through that. In addition, they're doing internships. So we have students at working at the ACC. We've got students at the Charlotte Checkers at hockey. We've got students working with local community partners for different leagues. So we've got students doing different types of internships that are related to what they want to do after these experiences. And in addition to that, we create a lot of networking events like that one I mentioned, but also events that really kind of highlight and elevate and kind of show students what this path might look like, or what's one potential path. And so last month, Jay Billis, ESPN analyst, came to the Charlotte Center and had an event with students, with alumni, spoke with them, had opportunities to meet and talk to each one of the students individually, to really just give back something to them and have them thinking about what that experience looks like and what they could do. So it has like these moments where it could really be a transformative moment, and we structure those in throughout the semester, and different ones are going to resonate with different students throughout it. In addition, we have some excursions, so you can see some of the photos there of some of the events that they had. President Book was down there with a kickoff event. The students went to an FC match. So we have lots of different things that are included with it. It is a cohort model, so the students have peers that they're close with, and includes apartment style living where the students are together as students, but they're in a professional environment. And these housing is for young professionals. So it's in the south end of Charlotte, right near the light rail stop. So they're a 12-minute walk or one light rail stop away from our center. And it just offers a lot for them to be able to experience what it's like to be outside of the classroom and what things might be next for them. Next slide, please. So going a step back and including both Study Abroad and Study USA, internships are integral to many of the programs, Study USA, all of them, but also select Study Abroad programs. And these internships are academic. So there is coursework that goes with one of these, designed to have students be thinking and reflecting on how these experiences go towards their personal and professional goals, and have them be able to reflect on that and think about that, and helps them navigate this new space that they may not have been working in before. They may have had jobs before, but they might not have had internships before. And so this is really a support that helps them get the most out of this experience possible. We think that they're practical experience for future job searches. All of the Study USA programs that require an internship, there is a search process that the students go through. It is supported by both GEC and our Student Professional Development Center. We work with these students to talk with them, like, what does this look like? We also directly engage our alumni and prep them to think about this. For students moving to a new city, we tailor some messages, help them think about how they can introduce themselves to potential employers when they're still back here at campus. Talk about the program. These are the dates. I will be there. So like particularly for LA and New York, this is really helpful to get employers' attention. And so that's part of the search process, is part of the growing too. And it leads to skill development, and these are transferable skills. And they're navigating different cultures in the workplace, different ages, different folks, and navigating those successfully to collaborate and just achieve their goals. There's also opportunities to explore connected fields through it. So some programs we have do guarantee placement, but require flexibility. And I would say all of our programs require students to think about what the opportunity could be. Some students come in with very specific expectations, and those are great. And just through the process, we think about what it is what do they want to get out of this experience? And sometimes that leads us to broadening what this expectation can be. And so those are kind of a little bit about the internships. Next slide, please. Academics. These are academic programs. So these are amazing, life-changing experiences that earn academic credit. So what does this mean? So the students are also moving along and making degree progress while they're on these experiences. They're all going to get credits. They're going to have GPA grades assigned to it. And those grades, whether or not they've taken it here at one of our Study USA centers or abroad, do get transferred back. So it will impact their Elon GPA. We hope all for the better, along with this amazing experiences, but it's things to think about. And so students, if they're on a particular type of major or program, there might be certain programs that align better academically with that allow more degree progress, that have more of the same goals that that major has. And so we invite conversations about that. We really want that matching to be an important and intentional aspect of these programs that they're choosing. And we encourage students in their first year. So families, first year families, I think you can have conversations already at this upcoming winter break. How can study away fit within this academic plan? Students are able to do both semester and summer. They're able to do study abroad and study away, or sorry, study USA. So it can fit in there. It just takes some planning. And our students, we've got more and more tools for the planning, and they're willing to dive into it. So we encourage them to work with us and get those. And one thing to note, particularly during the summer, is that credits vary. And that can lead into kind of finances. If it's low credits, it might not offer the same kind of access to federal financial aid, which Ashley is going to talk about later. So that's kind of important to note about what the credits that students will be earning and how those apply to their degree. Next slide, please. Housing looks different everywhere. And that's one of the amazing things about Elon's programs is that, and Elon, you're part of it, like thinking about, I want to go outside of this campus. I want to get out and experience, have this experience and have this learning opportunity. And because so many Elon students do, and Elon's been able to offer 100% access with some scholarships, other pieces, that it really enables us to offer a wide range of housing options. Most programs include a housing option. They could be residence halls, they could be homestays, they could be apartments, and it could be very rustic conditions. And you'll find this information, your student will find this information. It's always going to be on our brochure page, how things look. So as Allegra mentioned, for the study abroad programs, they look very different depending on the type. And they're correlated with kind of the housing too. Some of them, they're looking a little bit on housing. Most of them have a housing option that they can secure. For Study USA, we're all integrated typically during the semester in townhouses and apartments. And then summer, it can change to being some dorms, like NYU dorms. We collaborate with them in the summer. So it all can look a little bit different, but the brochure page is your guide. And I think it's one of the most exciting elements of it. So next slide, please. All right, so we're going to go and do this. Allegra highlighted some of the different goals and some of the different competencies. What's common across all these different experiences, whether it's in Charlotte or it's in Florence or it's in Ghana? Like what are some commonalities that every student is going to experience through this? And it could start off with, depending on what it is, like moments of panic that they have, like, or discomfort at a minimum. Why we're changing things, and when our conditions around us changes, when we get out of our routine, that creates some stress at a minimum. It's just kind of human nature, and it's good stress, right? Sometimes it's like excitement. It's what am I going to be doing, and that can also lead into anxiousness and anxiety, and like there's the unknown, and what's that going to mean? So in business, we call it could be VUCA. Kind of there could be uncertainty, there could be ambiguity, there could be complexity, there could be volatility, and how do we work through that? And that's where the GEC has worked to vet programs, we have program managers to help support through orientation process to try and reduce that discomfort before we go. And then also being in touch with students, and students reach out to families. So we know that you're going to be involved in being part of that support that they have for it. But we hope that we can get to a point where we can get kind of past that. So, and into kind of really a learning phase where it's like, you just kind of, you're having this experience, you're able to process this both in the moment and after the moment, and reflect on it and take different things from each of these experiences as we move forward. And that's where kind of, I think a lot of that's where the after feeling of how amazing it was, we want them to articulate the why, the how, the connections that you made. And so we want to get them in that learning space for it, and want them to be, comfortable, at times. You want to be elated and want to be sharing that. So we know that this happens. We also know that there's kind of a J curve often to this, where there's lots of excitement. They get into it, the anxiety starts catching up, and then it starts pulling out of that into that J curve of a lot of learning. So that's kind of just something to kind of expect through this process and why we do it. Next slide, please. All right. At this moment, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Allegra Lang. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mark. So I want to talk a little bit about the resources that students have here at Elon, as well as some logistical information and how you can support your students. It's important to know that all students have a GEC advisor. And if you go to the program brochure page, which Ashley will show you later, you can see the name of that GEC advisor. All students will always complete an Elon application. There are, for most study abroad programs, there will be a secondary application, but it's important that all students complete the Elon application first. We have a number of identity-based resources on our website. We strongly believe in supporting diversity and inclusion and students from all types of social identities to have a study away experience. We also have great resources on budgeting while abroad, which I think any student could take advantage of. All students actually will receive a general orientation as well as a program-specific orientation. Depending on the program, you might see students who receive a visa orientation. For Study USA programs, there would not be a visa. Many of our partners will also offer orientation as well as other opportunities for students to connect and support for internships on the Study USA side. Typically, pre-departure orientations take place the semester before students depart. So for our our spring 2024 students, we did most of their orientations beginning in September, all the way throughout November to prepare those students to do their global engagement or your study away experience rather. It's important to note that depending on the program type, level of support can vary by the partner. Typically speaking, this is something that we cover with students during the application process because we want students to pick the right program, but also throughout the pre-departure process, that way students can understand their what they can expect from all the partner institutions. Next slide, please, Ashley. So for logistics, if you are studying abroad, all students must have a passport. It is very important that the passport is valid until at least 6 months after the anticipated return for study abroad. So for example, for our spring 2024 students, most of those students will finish their study abroad in either May or June. Their passports would need to be valid at least through November or December. This is something that families can do now. So I encourage families, check your kid's passport and you can apply now for a passport and take care of that step. We also want to remind people that if you got your passport under the age of 16, it's only valid for 5 years. And so we do see around this time frame, students realize that their passport is about to expire. So again, one step that you can take care of now. Many programs will require students to apply for a visa in advance. This takes place after students receive an acceptance letter, but we do encourage families to think through when they make their personal travel plans that the student will have to have their passport out of their hands for a certain time in order to obtain their visa. In regards to getting to and from the host site, students are responsible for purchasing their own flights. The Elon Center Abroad programs do offer group flights, however. The general advice, though, is for students to wait until they've been officially accepted by the program before they purchase their flight, because usually the acceptance will have the program dates for when students will move in, when they'll get picked up, orientation, and the move out date. These instructions typically will come from the partner or from the GEC advisor, again, this semester that students will depart. Next slide, Ashley. We want to touch a little bit on supporting your student. We really believe that studying away is a really It's a really dynamic learning opportunity for students because they're going to be required to face new challenges. They'll be doing paperwork with their visas and their passports, and it really can provide a great growth opportunity for students. So again, like Mark was saying, we believe in productive discomfort with a growth mindset really is a great way to walk in or to view the global engagement experience. We always encourage parents to push your student to take ownership of the pre-departure process, again, to build those life skills on how to navigate things that they may have to encounter later in life. There's a really great resource called A Parent Guide to Study Abroad that's published by the Institute for International Education. But we also encourage parents to continue to support their child. We believe it takes a village for to send students away. That village includes the GEC, many partners across campus, but it also includes you as well. Now I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Ashley, to speak more about some more practical details of the global engagement experience.
All right, great. Thank you, Allegra. So we're going to quickly kind of dive into some details, where to find us, where to find more information, where can you find program details, talk about finances, funding the student's experience, and some health and safety. So we'll run through that real quick. So where can you find us or find information more about Study Abroad, Stay USA? So we've provided some website links here. So elon.edu/study abroad or elon.edu/study USA, or you can just Google Elon Study Abroad and then it'll pop up with the first link where you can find some more details. Some things that you can find on our website, you can search our various programs that we have, general deadlines for applications, students can access advising appointments, and then like Allegra mentioned, identity-based resources, financial planning, etc. So just to show you how you can kind of access our website quickly. This is our website interface, at least for the Study Abroad portion. Study USA looks similar. So let's say you wanted to go ahead and search for programs and trying to help your student find a program that works well for them. So there's a quick link search programs button. And so it'll take you to our Teradata website where you can do a general search where you would select any for everything, and then it would populate all of the programs that the GEC offers, or you can narrow that down by location, by language, by GPA, by classes available, etc. So just wanted to kind of show you that piece there so that you're able, so you know how to search for our programs. So once you do that, then it's going to take you, you find a specific program that you like. These are the brochure pages that Mark mentioned and Allegra mentioned, and it'll give you the details specifically about each program, whether that be the classroom culture, graduation planning, housing in the day of life, extracurricular activities that student might do while in that particular program, any kind of support that they could receive, scholarships that are specific to that program, dates specific to that program, and applications and kind of next steps. So that was kind of a quick breeze through, but your program specific brochures are what's going to give you all the details for that particular program. It's also going to provide you with a budget sheet that you'll find on those brochure pages. So as far as those budget sheets and what they show your billable items. So these are the fees that are going to show up on the student's Elon account. So it's going to include the tuition, Elon tuition. It's going to show an adjustment for a program cost difference. So basically, for instance, Elon tuition is a certain amount. Maybe that program costs a little bit less than what Elon is on campus. So you're going to see that adjustment there in that affiliate program fee. There's going to also be standard Elon Study Away fees that you'll see there on that budget sheet, and then your health, safety, and sustainability fees. So that's your insurance, your students' insurance when they study away. It's also going to give you estimates for non-billable expenses that you can expect. So any kind of out-of-pocket expenses. And we've received this as feedback from students and also providers on what those costs might be. So that could be transportation, whether it's air or ground transportation, that could be passport, visa fees, any kind of travel while you're in the area, meals, extra housing if that's associated with it, and then other program specific costs that that student might incur while they're there. So there will be a spring or a fall budget sheet or a summer budget sheet listed on that program for expenses during that particular term. So funding your experience. So your financial aid that is available on campus, it can be applied to your study away experience. However, every situation is unique. So we ask that you work with financial aid to talk to them specifically about your scenario and see what works best for you and your family. In that application that your student does once they're applying for a particular program, your student can request additional needs-based funding from the GEC. So this requires a FAFSA on file, a recent FAFSA, and it requires financial aid will define the need and the gap between family contribution and the cost of attendance. So we allow this, we call it the GEC Access Awards. We allow this for a student's first study away program, and it's available for all terms, winter, summer, fall, and spring. And basically there's going to be an application within the program application if the student would like to apply for that. And then they're eligible for needs-based funding from the GEC. So quickly going to touch on health. And so our partners on site at each program site, they can help facilitate access to most types of healthcare required or needed by your student when they're abroad or even away at Study USA. All of our study abroad students have international health insurance through INEX. They're enrolled automatically in that. But we want to think about our medical and wellness needs way far in advance of when the student's going to study away, right? So if there's prescription medication needed, if there's mental health needs, etc., we want to make sure that we're thinking about that even prior to picking a program, right? Because that might depend on what program that you pick. So many of the disability accommodations can be organized on the study away programs. So it would be working directly with your program advisor and the affiliate partner to see what they can offer for your student. And then obviously on the CDC website and the State Department's website, you can find details on certain areas as far as health and safety and things of that nature. So on mental health, it's a serious concern for students, and the programs, they can be taxing and they tend to exacerbate mental health issues when the students are going away. So we want to make sure that we kind of bring those to the surface and really pay attention to those as we're looking to figure out the program that's best for the student. And then addition to that, when a student studies away, they're not going to have the same support structures that they would have here at home. So we want to make sure that we can provide them the most access possible. So just some things to think about there. So if your student does experience any kind of mental health challenges, please work closely with your program advisor and the affiliate partner or the partner that program's through, and figure out how we can access the care that they need while they're there. And then the last point on this, all of our study abroad students also have access to TELUS Health, which is mental health support. It's an app that they can have on their phone in order to have that while they are away. All right, safety. Much like on campus, we cannot guarantee your student safety, but again, like Allegra and Mark has mentioned prior to this, we try to put in everything into place possible prior to that student's departure. So we also partner with various institutions who have already developed these risk management and emergency plans. We partner with our affiliate providers on their risk management plans and understand them. We also offer to the students who are traveling our Alert Traveler app. They can download it about 1 month prior to departure, but that's going to send them various alerts from where they're at. It's an app that they can have on their phone. So while they're abroad, depending on their GPS location, they'll get various alerts and emails and things of that nature to tell them about risk in the areas. We'd also ask that parents as well as the students sign up for the STEP program on the U.S. Department of State website. That will also send you alerts if there's something going on in the area where your student is studying. And then obviously for us here, the GEC risk management is within our portfolio, so that we use a variety of sources to evaluate risk. The State Department, OSAC, which is the Overseas Security Advisory Council, Centers for Disease and Control, so the CDC, and then along with other governmental sources to monitor risk in areas that our students are in, but also areas where our students are going. And then there's also private risk management organizations that we work with, Drum CUSAC, World Aware, and most recently Risk Align, that provide that information, that data to us so we can constantly monitor those particular areas. So again, that's a resource that we give our students who are studying away. All right, and now I'll pass it back over to Allegra to finish us up.
All right, thank you, Ashley. So I want to conclude by giving everyone some action steps that you and your students, or your students and you, can take. Ashley, next slide. So I did want to highlight the deadlines for programs. And right now we're in what we call the summer and fall application season. We just in November concluded our early action cycle for summer and fall 2024. For students that have applied for summer and fall 2024, we're going to be releasing notifications on December the 15th. We also will open up our rolling admission cycle on December 15th for summer and fall 2024 for study abroad, and it will close on February 15th. So for early action, Study USA follows a similar cycle. The main difference is that for rolling, that opened up on December 1st and will close on February the 15th. For those students who are looking at spring 2025, you would be looking at an early action cycle that would start April the 1st and would close May 15th. Notification will come out in June, on June 15th, and then June 15th will open up the rolling admission cycle for spring 2025, and that will close on September 15th. These deadlines are also located on our website, just in case you happen to forget. Next slide, please. So we are here to help. We love advising students and we love assisting students through the process. And there are a few different ways that students can access information. First, we do have drop-in hours when class is in session, Mondays through Fridays from 2 to 4 in our office in what we call the engagement space. We have concluded drop-in hours for this semester. Typically, they would open up during spring semester. We do individual advising appointments, and students can actually go to our website and select the advisor that they want to meet with and schedule an appointment on their calendar. We offer general information that basically explain the Study USA and study abroad processes, as well as targeted information sessions based on theme or program, etc. Usually these are advertised as well on our website under our Access Advising page. We also have a chat box. So if students are in their dorm room, in their apartment, somewhere on campus, they have a quick question and they don't have time to make it to the GEC, if they type in the chat box, one of our front desk assistants and our program assistant will be able to get back to them with an answer. For next steps for first year students, it's really important at this time to explore the website, start looking at programs and seeing what is possible. We also encourage students to begin looking at their grad plan. Typically, students in Elon 1010 would start working on their grad plan. It is a living document, so we know that it can change, but having a good idea of how your classes are laid out will begin to help you target what semester would be most appropriate for study away. We do encourage students to consider saving their core curriculum requirements, their advanced studies requirements, or their hours towards graduation for a study away experience, because those types of requirements tend to be pretty broad in scope, and there are lots of options to fulfill those on a study away program. For second year students, we are in the application season, so we encourage those students to make appointments with advisors, specifically for program-specific questions tend to be better serviced in a one-on-one appointment. We encourage second year students to update their grad plans to keep them current, but also to keep an eye on the deadlines. Typically, if students have not applied for a program and are looking at summer or fall 2024, winter break is a great time to research programs, make a plan, and then come to the GEC after winter break. Next slide, Ashley. But that actually concludes our webinar for today. I just wanted to make sure, did we answer all the questions in the chat, or from our chat monitors? Is there a question that you wanted to be lifted up in the broader space?
Hi, everyone. I think we're pretty much there, but I did want to highlight, we got a few questions about academic credit in study abroad, and will students receive credit for these programs? And I did just want to highlight that students will go through a course review process, we call it, when they're in the application phase and immediately after for a specific program, where they'll work with our registrar's office to actually determine exactly which Elon requirement each class abroad or on their program will count for, and how many Elon credits they'll get for each course. So as long as the student's done what they need to do in terms of that process, they'll know way before they ever even leave what their transfers will be for credit. And so I just wanted to kind of lift that up, because academics are of course key.
I really appreciate that, Maria. We do place a lot of emphasis on the course transfer process. One thing that is wonderful at Elon is that we really view the registrar's office as collaborators with our office. And for our general sessions for pre-departure, we'll have a representative from the registrar's office that actually basically comes and re-reviews the course transfer process. Usually at that point, students should have completed it, but we're trying to make sure that we catch all the students to make sure that they really do understand the process. I do want to emphasize that we are an academic institution. And so at Elon, students who do a study away experience, they receive letter grades. And those grades are factored into the student's Elon GPA. So we view this as an academic experience. We take it very seriously. We want students to be mindful of, while there are a lot of amazing things to do on a study away experience, the studying part is also crucial. Any more questions from the chat?
Allegra, can you briefly address, and this is definitely nuanced depending on what type of housing the student's in, but generally how housing at Elon can work when a student's away, in terms of then being gone for a semester, and what that can look like?
I think probably the best resource we have is Residence Life has an excellent website for students who are looking to study away, because they should be outlining what students need to do if they're studying away for fall and studying away for spring. So that typically is a good resource, because it does vary depending on if you're in a residence hall or if you're in apartments, for example. So I would encourage families to take a look at that well in advance before a student plans their global engagement experience. It's a little bit nuanced.
We also received a couple questions. Do students get this similar information? And thank you to everyone who said it was great information. Yes, we do have a kind of modified version of this presentation for students at their orientation, and it is communicated in different ways and kind of spurts leading up to that as well. So we don't typically do this exact webinar for students, but they are receiving this information kind of in bits as they're going through the process. Ashley, can you speak briefly to FAFSA and scholarshiping? If a student, if the FAFSA was not open to complete until December 31st, will this impact someone who's applied early action to a program? Or can you just speak to that a little bit, or FAFSA timeline?
So typically, as soon as FAFSA opens, you want to apply at that time. And even if a situation changes I would suggest that you do the same thing, like a family situation changes and maybe there's more of a need there. I would suggest that you go ahead and file an additional one, file an updated one so that it's the most current. And what typically we do if the FAFSA, I think in June is when FAFSA is kind of reset, or excuse me, July 1st. And I would suggest that you work with financial aid too. They can give you more of details, but I think it's a June, July time period where FAFSA will reset and it'll put in the most recent information. So if you didn't file a FAFSA the previous year, then it's going to show that zero amount. So I would suggest that you work with financial aid, and they can give you the exact timelines. But June, July is when we get each rollover year.
Are there any more questions? I do have a question for Will from Parent Engagement. Where will the access to the recording and the slides be?
Sure. So as soon as this is over, it takes a little while for the video to process, but once we have it, we will post it on our website, which is elon.edu/parents. So the recording of the video will be available there, hopefully this afternoon.
I'm sorry, I started talking and I was still on mute. That's amazing. Will we be able to post the slides as well, Will? Is that
Sure,
feasible?
yeah, if you send them to me, I'll be happy to post them there as well, for sure.
Awesome, I really appreciate it. I would like to, are there any more questions actually? All right. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for participating in today's webinar. I do want to remind everybody, this is a process. And so questions will come up along the way, right up until the time a student actually departs for either their study away or their study abroad or study USA program. But we thank you for your attendance. We know it's a busy time of year. We're wishing your student the best of luck in the conclusion of their final exams. And we're wishing everyone a restful winter break. Thank you so much.